Okay, we are ready now. Chair, when you're ready.
Okay, thanks, Justin. Are we still waiting on one more? Are we okay now?
No, we have enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I'll call this meeting to order at 4:02 p.m. on February 7th. I'll read the land acknowledgement. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. The land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hati-Wendaronk, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands we live. Hey, Justin, can you mute yourself if you don't mind?
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. Declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest today? Nope. Okay. Adoption of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda, please?
Move to adopt agenda.
Okay, Matthew and Donna. Okay, thank you. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. All right, adoption of the minutes for the last meeting on November 1st. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes, please? Oh, Henry, thank you. Okay, and then Donna. Okay. All those in favor? Okay, thanks. Let's see. Okay, that's better. All right, let's go to correspondence. All right, CLKC 84-2023. So this was the Road Safety Advisory Committee presentation regarding traffic concerns at Pine Street and Sullivan that was passed on council on November 21st, 2023. Let's see. So have any discussion on this topic? Did everyone get the pamphlet and they looked at all the information? Okay. Sean, did you want to speak to some of the changes that are being proposed?
There's a report to council. Council requested a report as a part of that presentation that went to council. And the report was to come up with, let's say, short-term solutions that didn't involve the traffic signals at this point in time. Later on in the agenda for this meeting, we actually have that a design done to help with short term. It's not exactly the cheapest thing in the world. And so we'll talk about it in more detail as we get down that end.
Okay, got it. Okay. Is everybody okay with that? We'll talk about that later. Okay. All right, correspondence 6.2, PWCS 2-2024, proposed all-way stop control Sunset Way, Miracle Way passed council on January 16th, 2024. Awesome. So I guess that's just basically where you're doing a new all-way stop, I think.
That's right. That was presented at our meeting December or whatever that was. And yeah, it's just stop control at that intersection.
Okay. Too bad we didn't have our attendee who lives there give us some insider information on that one. Okay.
Well, it hasn't been installed yet, so
okay,
it'll get installed as quickly as we can.
Okay. Did everyone look at that? Did anyone have any questions about the proposed changes? I'm just trying to pull it up here. Okay. All right. If everyone's okay with it, and we'll continue on. I think changes will be good.
Can I
go ahead, Sean? Yeah.
Comment on something, Justin? The correspondence stuff, the stuff that is coming back from council. is stuff we've already had discussions about, right?
So yes, typically it's more of a FYI. Your items have passed
Okay.
council, or anything that went to council that may be of interest to this committee are put in there. However, they can be discussed or ask questions if the committee would like to.
Okay. All right. I think we're okay on that one. Let's go to 6.3. So it's PWCS 3-2024. So this is the proposed all-way stop control from Front Street and McNamara Street past council on January 16, 2024. So I mean, I'm sure we've already talked about this quite a bit on this council's. Mr. Councilor D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, just trying to unmute myself here. Yeah, we had talked about this and had supported it, but unfortunately, when the design came forward, and where they were locating the stop sign, it's right in Julie's Auto's driveway. So I asked staff to go out and talk to Julie and to also talk to Performance Heating and Air, because they're going to be directly affected by this stop sign. A, with cars backing out of their business, and B, as cars queue up to the stop sign. I think by putting a stop sign there after reviewing the location, you're going to actually make things more dangerous there. So I don't know if Sean or any city staff has gone out to speak to Julie. I did stop by, showed her a diagram, and she was very concerned of the location. So that's one might have to be revisited, and may look at some other alternative traffic calming measures, only because, again, usually a stop sign isn't in somebody's driveway. And it's in front of one of the bays where she has her business. So there's going to be several cars backing in and out at the stop sign. So A, they could hit the sign or hit someone in queue of stopping for the sign. So I think we need to look at that one a little bit more in detail before it gets finalized. I don't know, Sean, if you have any more comments on that at this point in time.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. We certainly do. We've gone out and had that same conversation with Julie's Tire, and they even sent us some emails about suggestions as to what we can do with the stop sign. I might not want to repeat it here, but they gave some other suggestions for traffic calming. So yes, we will definitely bring another report back to this council, and then, or to this committee, and then to council moving forward as to how to deal with it properly.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Sean. Again, until the design was put in place, it wasn't really noticed of the location of where it was going to impact the business and their driveway. So
That's right.
just wanted to make sure that was brought forward. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks, Councilor D'Angelo. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go to 6.4. PWCS 4-2024, proposed all-way stop control for Canby Street and Hamilton Boulevard. So this passed council on January 16th, 2024 as well. Anybody want any comments about it? Oh, Councilor D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sean, I don't know if you received any correspondence from one of the residents that live in the area. They're just concerned with that intersection, not specifically the stop sign, but the sidewalk. It has some flooding issues where when it rains, the way the road is, it floods. And then especially in the wintertime, it becomes icy, and then they start walking on the street. So it's more of I think, an engineering issue than a stop sign issue, but I'm not sure if that's been brought to your attention through the individual.
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, I haven't seen anything specifically about that area. The one thing I do want to caution you and everybody about is the fact that Canby and River, which is what Canby turns into as it goes around the bend, need to be urbanized. So we need to go back in and do all that work, but that's a very longer term process. We're trying to kind of glue this together until such time we actually go in and do that. So we can certainly have our people go out and take a look at that sidewalk and make sure that it's meeting the safety that we require, at least in the short term. And then over the long term, we will actually reconstruct that entire road.
Yeah, okay, no, that sounds good. I will forward you the pictures that were sent to me. It seems to be a drainage problem, and he said one of the culverts is blocked, which someone had blocked the culvert, so the water doesn't drain properly. So it may just be looking at that from an engineering standpoint. So it's not specifically the stop sign, but just that area there. They just didn't want people walking on the road, especially into a stopped intersection as they go around the corner. So I'll provide that information to Mr. Dunsmore. And then that way you can take a look and follow up with the individual that had the concern. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, thank you. So moving to the follow-up items on the agenda. So we have CLK-C 68-2023. So this is the report outlining options for assessing speed limits of City of Thorold streets, was passed by council on September 12th, 2023. Yeah, so a bit interested on this one. Mr. Dunsmore, do we have any updates?
The update, we're still struggling on our end about how to engage the public on this front. I know council has approved it, and in a way we don't really need to engage the public, but I suspect that council might want us to actually do that and have some of those public meetings just to make sure that we're getting all sorts of the opinions so that it's straight for when we actually start implementing that 40 km/h speed limit.
Mr. D'Angelo, Councilor D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, I know during that discussion of when the report passed that we wanted staff to take a closer look at some of the pilot projects in other communities and see how they're working. So we're not reinventing the wheel, but trying to get some, pros and cons of what's happening elsewhere with the implementation of a reduced speed. So I know staff will look into that. So that'll take a bit of time, but that could save some doing things twice because they're doing a bit of review on that.
Yeah, what I want to say about that is I am struggling with the direction that council actually gave us on that front. Do you want us to do a pilot program, or do you want us to move forward and start applying it across the city?
Well, if I could speak, my thoughts were that we look at the pilot, because some of those other projects in other cities are pilot projects, or are they fully implemented? So again, I think we're looking to you, Sean, to see if a pilot is more useful than just doing it across the whole city at this point in time, because sometimes you want to know what's happening. Just because you try to correct one problem, you may cause other problems. So we don't want to just do patchwork stuff. So I think seeing what was done in the past by other communities, and then I would probably favor a pilot project. That way you can get some data and then move before you move over and do the whole city, as opposed to just blanket the city and then realize that there's some issues that weren't really thought through.
Councilor Droz, did you have any comments?
Yeah, no, I agree with what Henry's saying. I want to hear what Sean's got to respond to Henry, just because, and then I'll ask something.
Okay, Mr. Dunsmore, go ahead.
Okay, we forwarded both to you guys and then also to council a report from the city of St. Catharines that they did a pilot project and the results from their pilot project. And not to summarize it too much, but it was, they essentially saw no change in the speeding or speed limit or speeds in the area that they did their pilot project, but City of St. Catharines Council decided to implement the 40 km/h across the city anyway. So that was actually already presented at one point in time. Although I would suggest if we want to do this pilot program, because we're already in this process of doing all sorts of traffic calming down in Port Robinson East, I would suggest that we use that as the pilot program area. We could do that entire Port Robinson East, which is what one of the residents is requesting anyway. We do that whole thing as the pilot program area, and we sign everything down there. It's a relatively isolated area and should give us some, we have lots of speed studies on there already, so we should be able to figure out pretty quickly if it's making any improvement or not.
Sounds like a good idea. Councillor Droz, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree, Sean. That's a good idea. Sean, the other thing is you said you sent us a copy of of St. Catherine's report. I don't, is there any way I can get another resend just in the near future? I didn't see it. I don't know if Henry, did you see it?
I get a lot of emails, so to be honest, I didn't see it. So if you can resend it, I'll definitely read through it.
For sure, I can
But
send you. I'll get that out to you tomorrow. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
excellent. Thank you.
And the only one of the advantages I see to the 40 speed limit is okay, they're not adhering to it, but guess what? You're going to get it stuck with a bigger fine. That's one of the advantages I see, even though it's frustrating. I notice when I come to school every day down Beaver Dams, people are slowing down for the 50 because there's the odd policeman there once in a while. And as long as there's some visual police sightings, people start to get the message. So I've noticed on Beaver Dams that people have slowed down a lot in the last few years. But like you said, you know, most people aren't going to acknowledge it unless they think there's a policeman nearby.
Councillor Nedra, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe if Paul can just give us a comment from a traffic perspective of the NRP, like will they have enough resources to do some extra enforcement? Because if the speed limit's 40, obviously most people are going to be speeding over that. Is that something, maybe if you could just put a few comments in there to from the NRP's perspective?
As you know, if it was part of like a pilot project in a limited area, then we could commit some resources there to, you know, assist in that thing. Looking at a larger scale, and this discussion came up amongst my guys, the traffic, because we are getting, you know, requests with St. Catherine's. People have heard of that, and just the sheer volume of areas that have become 40 kilometers an hour, it's very tough to do more than, you know, very limited, if any, enforcement with any kind of regularity. It's just, as you know, for the regular uniform guys on their call volumes, they're there, they will when they can, but to commit to something in such broad areas, and then if we're also adding in St. Catherine's and if other municipalities join in, it becomes more and more difficult to just have the physical resources to do it. I'm not saying that we can't, but you know, as the scale grows, it would be very difficult to make any kind of a commitment to regular enforcement in those areas. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
Councillor
No,
Nedra,
if
go
I
ahead.
could come, yeah, no, that helps a lot, because I think you have to, you would have to make sure that that's communicated to the general public. Just because the speed limit's reduced to 40 doesn't mean there'll be more fines handed out, because the resources are still limited in terms of traffic control or the traffic division. You know, Niagara region's a big region, and with roads all over, especially if people are driving now 50 over 40, that's now technically speeding. So you've just increased the amount of speeders throughout Niagara. It's going to be difficult to maintain that. But if this is a pilot project, that's if you could put some resources to that, again, that would be quite helpful, because I know Port Robinson East always brings that up as a concern, that there's lack of police enforcement out there. So some visible enforcement every once in a while would be beneficial. Again, like Councillor Giroux said, if people see police cars on Beaver Dams or roads where they're speeding, they're more likely to slow down for the time being and hopefully pick up that pattern of driving a little bit more safer. But yeah, your comments were well. Thank you. Thanks.
And anybody else have any other comments about the pilot project or how it's going to be implemented? Okay, I got one question, Sean. So for this pilot project, if this moves ahead, is there like a time period, like when it could start, and then how long do you think a successful pilot program should take?
When it would start is related to actually getting the signs installed. So we're in the process right now of ordering some signs for the traffic control out there, because over the last little while we've approved more than one traffic calming in that area, including the one river in whatever. So probably early to mid-spring will be kind of the start of the whole thing. As for how long we're gonna leave it out there, I think, based on what's been approved by council to date, a lot of it will just stay permanent. We can certainly go and do some results and look at that, about 6 months after would probably be reasonable. And we can certainly do that to try to help everybody understand the effect that it's actually having on. So say by Christmas time next year, we'll have some results for the pilot study.
Okay, that sounds pretty good to me. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay, all right. Well, because Christmas is coming early this year for me, so that'll be fun. Thanks so much, Mr. Dunsmore. All right, 7.2, intersection of Richmond Street and Winterberry Boulevard. So at the committee's, our last meeting, was suggested to find low-cost solutions to traffic concerns in this area. And then, yeah, open it up to discussion. I think, Mr. Dunsmore, what was the plan for that one?
We're still working on a plan.
Okay.
We were contemplating. I want to be clear about some things that are happening out there. There's going to be a higher volume because there's development happening that's affected by that intersection. So we're looking at options, and we're working with the development developers, traffic engineer, to try to clarify some things. We're thinking about some lane reductions, some lane width reductions, essentially line painting type stuff, and then adding flashing lights to those signs to try to really enforce that people are going through there. So we will report back to you, but it's just not ready quite yet.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee on that one? Okay, looking forward to the updates. 7.3, okay, portable speed signs. So at the last meeting, we talked about portable speed signs, and I think we have 2 of them, and some suggestions. Hopefully some suggestions were made about where to possibly put it. So yeah, Mr. Dunsmore, how is the portable speed signs? Have anything been deployed yet? Do we have made any decisions on where the second one might
Nothing's
go?
been deployed yet. Everything's ready to be deployed. We sent out email. Justin sent out an email last week about the locations that we were looking at doing, having it rotate through. We have a list of, I think it was 40. I have it here on my thing, but now there's all sorts of.
And if I can just add, it's on page 7 of everyone's agenda. If you have
Okay.
your agenda, and I can try to pull it up here in a second.
Yep, we have 36 locations.
Can you see the screen, everyone?
Yeah, I can see it on the agenda too. Thanks, Joseph.
So if you would like to look at those, generally what we aim for was kind of arterial roads to deploy them, mainly because we think that's where most of the speeding actually happens. But if you guys would like to look at that list and give suggestions for additions and or subtractions on it, we would certainly take that advice and go from there.
Okay. Yeah, if everyone wants to take a look at the list, and then maybe email Sean and the rest of the committee with your suggestions. I do see Ormond Street South on there. I think Ormond Street and Sullivan. And there's about 35 other ones on there. So if you guys just want to review the lists, and then if you have any additions or any suggestions, oh, Councillor D'Angelo, go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, what I was gonna say, I'm not gonna suggest a specific one. Everyone could sort of put some input into that, but I'd like to see some zones so that we're distributing the equipment fairly across all of Thorold. Like Port Robbins could be a zone, Allenburg could be a zone, Thorold South could be a zone, and then Thorold urban, you could split that into two, east side of Collier Road and west side of Collier Road, or something like that. Just, I just don't want them like both in the urban part. I want to make sure we're capturing some rural roads, because there's concerns everywhere throughout. And if we could do like maybe a 4-month rotation, or I don't know, I'll leave that up to Sean, either 4 or 6 month rotation. We pick a zone, like we maybe narrow these down into the zones, and then sort of rotate to the different zones, because we had a presentation at council last night. Barron Road was very high on the topic list, just because there's some development going on there. Port Robinson, we're doing the traffic study, police enforcement might be a good opportunity to put them in there to highlight what we're trying to do to mitigate traffic concerns. So instead of picking, like if we have zones, it might be easier, and then we could pick a street out of one of the zones and just keep rotating around. Just a suggestion, as opposed to just picking streets. And then if we like alter them to different zones, at least we're sending the message across the whole community, and hopefully that gets across to everyone to be a little bit more cognizant of their driving habits. Just a suggestion.
So what if we approach this as as 4 zones, and we deploy them for 3 months in each zone, and then we'll just pick the proper road for it at that time?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Any questions,
Yeah.
comments from the committee?
Okay.
I like it.
All right,
I think-
I'll get you a drawing for the zones that we're planning on doing, and I'll number them 1 through 4, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Sounds like a plan. Okay, so now we're down to committee business. We got 8.1 here, PWCS 16-2024. So the traffic calming for Pine Street and Sullivan Avenue. Justin, what page is that on the agenda? I think it's down the bottom somewhere, right?
So page 8 would be the first one, the traffic calming Pine Street and Sullivan Avenue.
Okay, I see it. Okay. So basically what it looks like is you're making the curbs bigger, so people have to take their time going around corners. Makes sense. And then we also have some parking as well, some additional parking, right, Mr. Dunsmore?
Actually, more elimination of parking than it is additional parking.
Oh,
Those washout lines that we're putting on there essentially eliminate a parking spot in front of the school. But the idea there is to narrow down the road so that it's as narrow as we can get it through that intersection, so that people will slow down, hopefully, and stop at those stop signs. We'll repaint the lines for the crosswalk so that everybody sees where we're supposed to stop. And you'll notice on the I'm going to say northbound Pine Street, where that white car is on the drawing, that will become a straight through instead of a turning lane, as part of this design. So we're looking for feedback on that. I know that one of our counselors suggested we have a crossing guard there 24 or whatever, well, during the daylight times. I'm not sure that's the best option on this front. If we could look at other options. The other option, of course, is to put in the traffic lights, which is where we kind of started this whole conversation.
okay. I'll open it up to questions and comments. Matthew, go ahead.
Just with regards to timeline, repainting these lines, installing the curbs, as opposed to just going right into the traffic lights. What's the difference there in timing?
Well, the curbs and stuff, we could probably get done this year. The traffic lights are a 5-year program.
Oh, wow, okay.
Donna, you had your hand up, go ahead.
I go past that intersection frequently. My kids went to school there, etc. I've been there a lot. And I don't see that speeding is that much of an issue there. It is congestion, and the congestion is really bad, and it's going to get far, far worse when there's a McDonald's. So I'm not sure that the curbs, etc., are going to be sufficient to protect the kids that are coming out of school, especially if we're eliminating some parking spots there. I don't know what else there could be, but there's going to be a problem there.
Yeah, these changes, to that point, these changes will reduce the volume of cars being able to get through the intersection. So if congestion is the problem, this will exaggerate the problem.
Exactly. And the McDonald's is gonna be I'm not I wasn't really in favor of putting McDonald's there because of the proximity of the school. So that's far.
Everybody lose her, or is it just me?
Is gonna have to be addressed.
Yeah.
It's also that, remember that the release time of the high school students and the time it takes them to walk up there will be just about coinciding with the time that the little kids get out of.
So I guess this is just going to make the congestion worse, which I don't think is something that we wanted to do. Councillor DeRose, it looks like there's going to be elimination of parking spots as well, which I don't know if that's a good idea or not, because there's already issues with people trying to get there and the crossing guards having nowhere to park as well. Did you have any comments?
No, I agree. That's going to be troublesome. The residents that reached out to me were asking for more parking spots. And also I noticed when, and Sean could verify this because it's his field, he's the expert. When roads are narrower and there's parking on roads, because it is pretty wide there, it slows people down. Is that correct, Sean? I just wanted you to correct that for me.
To you, Mr. Chair, yes, that's absolutely true, that the traffic or parking works very well as traffic calming.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
Councillor D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, looking at the diagram, how many spots are really lost? Because a couple of them are really close to the intersection, so I can't see why there'd be parking spots there, like where the white line is. Do you know how many parking spots we would lose with this this proposal?
I think we're only losing 1 or 2. It's not significant, but let's say that.
Okay, that's, yeah, there's lack of parking, but yeah, 1 or 2 is not too bad if you're losing it, if you can make the intersection a little safer. The other thing, when the McDonald's is built, I think they're going to have to look at a traffic measure where the car coming onto Pine Street probably could only turn right. It probably won't be able to turn left. So it won't be going through the intersection. It'll have to go the other way. Because I can't see it how it could come out into the intersection there, because there'll be a lot of backing up of vehicles all over the place if they're trying to make a left-hand turn. So it may be, I'm not sure if that's fully designed yet, Sean, but I would suspect that there would be a sort of a right forced lane so that when you're exiting McDonald's, you're going the opposite direction.
Yeah, no, that is not. As a matter of fact, that was a sticking point between us and McDonald's for that site plan. And they really want the full movement at that driveway. So
okay, well, they're going to have people queued up in their parking lot quite a bit. So that would be an issue that they'll have to resolve, and they'll come to their senses later and say, yes, let's make it a right-hand turn. But,
And as part of the site plan, we took a contingency from them, a deposit, if you will, to do a detailed traffic study on this location when they're there, so that we can actually see what's happening instead of estimating what's going to happen. And one of the concepts that we talked about during that time was putting in a median down in the middle of Pine Street to force that that entrance on Pine Street to be a right in, right out only.
yeah, it may come down to it afterwards, if they don't negotiate and come out with a proper turning lane in the first place. So, but yeah, that would definitely help the congestion in that area. It won't help all the congestion, but at least it'll draw some of it away from it. So those are my 2 points. In terms of the barricades, will they be when you say the corner, like you were going to put some, are they barricades, or are they just going to be painted lines around the corner where the parking's removed? Like, I guess my question to this is, if we try this method, see how it goes, if it doesn't help or it makes things worse, the lines can always be painted over and readjusted. Is that an option, or is that something that can't be done later?
Well, the intent of this design is actually to put new curb in. So widen out the sidewalks and widen the sidewalk at the intersection.
Okay.
Right? You might be able to see it on the blue lines that you maybe have a hard time seeing on there is the new curb. So we can always move it around, but like that's not painted. Those are curbs. Those are concrete. So
Okay, when you say blue line, not the purple line?
sorry, the purple line there, right by the if you bring the cursor over a bit, whoever's cursor that is. Yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that will be the new curb of the intersection.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right.
yes, we can remove it. We can always take these things out and put them back in, but that's way more expensive than doing line painting.
Yeah. Again, just a suggestion. I've seen where they've put like those bolted down, for lack of a better word, sticks. I've seen them on Oakdale to protect the cycling lane. Is that something worth trying, as opposed to putting a concrete, moving the concrete curbs? Just because if it doesn't work, then you got to go back to the drawing board. At least if you put those, someone help me with the proper name of them. But
Delineators.
yeah.
Okay.
What are they called?
Delineators.
Yeah, the delineators. If we put some delineators and sort of pilot that and see how that would impact the intersection, I don't know if that's worth a possible suggestion. And I know you have to, the ones in St. Catharines, the delineators, they put them in the summertime. They take them out in the wintertime when the plows go by. So I don't know if this is something worth piloting in the summertime and the fall and see how it goes, or do you feel that we should move forward with curb replacement?
If you're asking my opinion, which you don't usually, just for your knowledge.
Yeah, I am this time.
If you're asking my opinion, I know it's a bad situation. I know it's a difficult situation. It's been a difficult situation for a long time, but I think we're waiting for the design of the entire road might be the right solution, and the traffic lights. But if we want to do something immediate and do it over the summer, the delineators makes all sorts of sense. We could certainly get those in. It would be a much cheaper solution, at least in the short term, so that we could move forward. So I think that is an excellent idea.
And then I'll ask the rest of the committee, could everyone comment on that to give Sean some feedback?
Because I was going to ask him how much it was going to cost. Matthew, go ahead.
No, it's okay. You go.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask how much it's going to cost, and then obviously concrete, then you have to revert it. So it could be, and then eventually at some point the lights are going to come anyway, right? It's inevitability at this point. This would be a good temporary solution. At least we can act on it quickly so that we can at least do something now. I think it's a good go between, because eventually we're going to get lights anyway, but we do want to make it safer. So I'm okay with it. Anybody else? Matthew, go ahead.
I think we're on the same page here. I mean, for an immediate solution, I like a physical barrier. Curb is nice. And if I'm understanding this, the whole idea is to create congestion and create force people to slow down in this area, right? So that's what this is going to do. It's gonna, I mean, you're gonna get that congestion, and we might hear about that later on. But if the goal is to protect pedestrians and cyclists and children, then this is a great temporary measure, because who knows what happens 2-3 years from now. So that's kind of how I see it. And it does relate to, if you remember Mr. Ferguson's presentation last meeting, his major concern was pedestrian usage of this intersection. It's just chaotic right now for him and his friends. So yeah, I like this as a temporary measure.
Thanks, Matthew. Councillor Gross.
Yeah, through you, Chair. Yeah, I like the idea. I really do. I think we should, try it. The other thing is, I think ironically, some parents are going to park at McDonald's when they can't find a parking spot. Just to let you know, don't tip off McDonald's yet. They might have someone out there chasing people away.
Okay. I guess we could kind of put it to a vote and see if we want to move forward with that temporary solution. Can I get a mover and a seconder? All right, Councillor DeRose, Councillor D'Angela, all those in favor? Temporary? Okay. All right.
Okay, so
Thanks, everybody.
what I'll do on that front is we'll redraw it for you.
Okay.
Put in the delineators instead. I did show you what the delineators are going to look like, and get it back to you as quickly as possible. It may just be an email to you, and then we'll report to council that way. Okay?
Yeah, because that would be faster, because obviously we don't want to be waiting for 3 months. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thanks. Okay, 8.2, so PWCS 17-2024, traffic calming Hawthorne Avenue. So let's see. So that should be just directly below the next page on the agenda. So it looks like, Mr. Dunsmore, you can speak on this. It looks like we're definitely getting some all-way stops and some speed humps, right?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. Generally, we've been working on this for a while. It started as a complaint. We did some traffic studies. I will say, though, that just for everybody's knowledge, that the warrants weren't actually met on this one. But because there were so many complaints, we went out and did our public information centers, and we designed this solution that we plan on taking to council.
Okay. Did everyone have a chance to review it? Was there any questions or comments? I think if the goal is to slow people down, I think that's what's going to be accomplished here. Matthew, go ahead.
Sorry, just a quick comment. I've definitely driven over speed humps that are more of a slight elevation in the existing pavement. They don't really do anything effectively. So there must be engineering guidelines for these, right? But is there any way to ensure that they are actually adequate speed humps that force you to either damage your car by not slowing down or slowing down? Thanks.
Mr.
Well,
Dunsmore?
I have a bit of funny story for that if you want to hear it.
Sure.
We when we put those speed humps in on Confederation, almost immediately we started getting complaints from a Corvette that was driving up and down the road, and he didn't like it very much because he kept bottoming his car out on the whole deal. So we had to trim the top off the speed humps to make them less aggressive. But the engineering standard is supposed to be 3 inches of lift, and then the ramp up to and the ramp down from is supposed to be about 1.5 meters to get that 3 inches. That shouldn't cause anybody to bottom out when they're doing 40 kilometers an hour, which is the speed limit, suggested speed limit over those speed humps. I will say that sometimes it's a little more difficult to get exactly that detail. So I would say the ones over on Silver Maple are maybe a little less severe than the ones on Confederation.
So you're saying it's like a meter to get to the peak of the 3 inches?
It's supposed to be 1.5 meters to get to the peak. But then it's about 1.5 meters at the peak, and then 1.5 meters down off the peak. And it's a 3-inch lift as you go. So that's the standard. I will tell you, some people are better at building than others, and we will certainly do what we can to make sure that they build them properly. What I found is that the painting on them actually it creates a visual obstruction, which causes people to slow down maybe a little bit more than the hump itself.
So do you put like a reflective painting on it? Okay. Any other questions or comments for the proposed speed humps and signs? Okay, I think the stop signs will definitely at least slow it down for them. So hopefully they'll be a bit happier when this is implemented. All right, 8.3 PWCS 18/2024. Well, I guess we could vote on whether we should, the committee says yes, it's good. So can I get a mover and a seconder on the proposal for the traffic calming? Councilor DeRose. Then we need a seconder. Donna, thank you, Donna. All those in favor? Okay, awesome. All right, 8.3 PWCS 18/2024. So traffic calming on Niagara Falls Road.
So again, this was based on a complaint or petition from some neighbors out there. We went out and did a traffic study. It was by far speeding, the average speeding out there. I think the average was speeding as opposed to the 85th percentile. So we designed the solution. We went out, you see the results of the public information centers that we have, and generally we're going to install a couple of speed humps and a new all-way stop on Niagara Falls Road for that exact same reason.
So it's a rare occasion where people complain and they were right.
I don't think it's as rare. I don't think it's all that rare, but it was really speeding.
Okay, yeah, because I mean, our colleague, he was pretty. Okay, that's good. Everyone got to see it. Is there any questions or comments about the proposed solution here? Mr. Councilor DeAndre, go ahead.
Yeah, I know we talked a little bit about it at council last night, but I know we're putting speed humps in here, but have we did any research on reverse speed humps? It's hollowing out the road as opposed to putting a hump there. It probably helps for plowing purposes. From someone was explaining it to me. I was trying to do a bit of research on that. Have we given any consideration to that type of traffic calming measure?
Through you, Mr. Chair, no, I've never heard of it, to be honest with you. We can certainly do that. We can give you a whole presentation if you'd like on the effects of that. And I'm not sure which is better or worse for the plowing, but I could certainly talk to our operations department about that and go from there.
Yeah, because what I know you're moving forward with speed humps on this, which is fine, but I know we talked about Front Street with an issue there with the stop sign. Maybe I was going to bring it up at the round table, but we're sort of discussing it now. I was going to suggest that maybe look at putting a reverse speed hump on Front Street as opposed to the stop sign, and we could pilot it there and see if that actually works, or what problems or issues we would have with that. And that might be a solution later elsewhere, but at least we have one trying to be piloted. Again, looking at the thoughts of the committee on that. And
I'm interested.
And also Sean's comments on that too. I'd like to hear your opinion, if that's something that might be doable in an experiment or like I said, a pilot project.
Yeah, my only concern, Henry, on that front is the road itself is only about 4 inches deep, give or take, the asphalt. So if you dig that bit of asphalt out, I understand the concept there, but there might not be enough structure left in the road to actually continue to be a road. You might actually have to dig out the granular base to make that happen. Whereas if you do the speed humps, you're just adding asphalt on top.
Don, you had a question?
Would be better than either one of those.
Sorry, Don, you're cutting out a little bit. Could you just repeat that?
I wonder if something like rumble strips instead of the humps or the hollows might be as effective at slowing people down, especially if they have that reflective paint on them.
Okay,
Has anybody ever tried that?
Mr. Dunsmore?
can I suggest, yes, I've seen that. The rumble strips I've certainly seen in different locations. As a matter of fact, I remember a place where I rode over on my bike once and I was surprised that they were there. What we can do is more holistically look at all sorts of traffic calming options and make sure we develop ourselves a good toolbox, if you will, for all sorts of options, and we can certainly look at those. And well, I can bring those options back to you guys so that you can see what we're talking about and what we're trying to work with, and then help that. Maybe that'll help you make suggestions moving forward. Okay.
Yeah, we'd definitely be interested in hearing the different options that are available, because obviously we're just doing speed bumps right now, but maybe it's not the best option. Are you able to talk to like an expert, or can we have a presentation of some kind that we could see what the pros and cons of each one, and then maybe we should change our approach in the future?
For sure we can. Yeah, we can certainly make that happen. Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Donna.
I'm seeing a repeated theme here where many places are looking for traffic calming solutions. So I think figuring out a toolbox and the best usage for each of these different cases is a great idea, especially if it also has a cost comparison. So we would know what we're getting for our money and in what situations each type of method is best used. So I would love to hear a presentation on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly. Yep.
Okay, Councillor D'Angelo, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to concur with Don. I think that's great to put a toolbox together so we could have different applications, and we could try piloting some of them in different locations, which would be good, especially with Thorold growing, and we're growing in the rural parts, Allenburg, Port Robinson, Thorold South. They're all growing, so traffic is only going to get worse because everyone in those areas has vehicles and we're all traveling around Thorold. So yeah, definitely I like the idea, and getting more knowledgeable makes us better committee members. So I concur with the suggestion.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so Mr. Dunsmore, I don't know if we're able to do it for the for the next road safety meeting, but is that something we could have on a future agenda?
For sure.
Okay.
When is the next road safety meeting?
I think it's every 3 months, right?
It is on May 1st.
May 1st.
Okay, I should be able to get it for that.
Okay, looking forward to it. Do we have any more questions or comments on, Justin, you good?
Sorry, just wanted to make sure we're going to finish off this issue before we move on to the next one. Okay,
I
perfect.
got you. I'm reeling it in, don't worry. So yeah, any other questions or comments on this? Okay, so I think we're all in agreement on the recommendations. Can I get a first and a second here, please? Councillor D'Angelo and Matthew. Okay. All those in favor? Okay, great. So we've got through the committee business, so that's opens up the roundtable discussion. Whoever like to jump in first? Councillor Droz, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, my principal stopped by my room, well, just about right before the meeting started. He had to call out the region. I guess a lot of parents, our enrollment's skyrocketing. We've got over 730 kids now. I know we're getting 4 more next week. I'm getting one of them. So the parents are parking on Collier Road, and it's making it treacherous for the crossing guard. So he brought it to the region's attention. I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention here, and it's something we can look at if it doesn't, if the region doesn't come up with something plausible to keep everybody safe. I know the crossing guard has almost been hit several times now by a car. So I wanted to bring that up. The other thing I wanted to bring up is, and Paul, you know, I want you to hear this. I live out by St. John's. I'll give you an example of what's going on. They did, Sean will tell you, they put a speed bump, and not because I was a counselor, but I think it was before I was a counselor. I can't remember now, but right in front of my house. But out that area, the Hollow Road and Hansler, Holland, the speeding is horrific. I collect, and here's the thing, and Paul, tell me if you have an appetite for this. I know you guys are stretched, especially with the, you know, your ride program, but I'd love for you guys to surprise these guys out in the country and have a ride checkpoint obscured somewhere where they won't see it. Because the other day walking, I bring a bag with me because I hate litter, and I picked up 27 alcohol cans, beer, all those new fancy drinks they got. And that was just one day, 27. And every other day I'm picking up, I don't know, 5, 6, 7. So just to let you know, it's going on. They think they can get away with it. It's a racetrack out there Friday nights and Saturday nights, especially now since we haven't had much snow. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Paul, the other thing is, can you forward us, or Henry, I think you had it because you used to be on a police board, that number you can call to report cars that are speeding or whatever, just reports of things of that nature.
That number is on the NRP website. Anybody that goes there, they can report it by email or through the traffic hotline. I apologize, I don't remember the number off the top of my head because we, in the last 6 months, actually changed it to a dedicated line rather than an extension.
Paul, it might be on our city website too. I'll track it down. I think Henry has it too, but that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to suggest I was going to suggest if it's not on the city website, because I did ask them to put it on there earlier when I became a counselor. So we'll double check, make sure it's there, and then also provide it. Excellent. I'm glad the NRP has that because it's a dedicated line for traffic enforcement.
I will say that when that was first brought up, that there was a bit of a misconception that you were going to get a live person when you call that line. It basically, what was before was it was an extension that was the same extension to the traffic clerk here. So it was very difficult for her to do her job while at the same time getting, constant phone calls from the public. Not that they're bothersome, but it's hard for her to keep track. So it is a recorded line that it is monitored Monday to Friday. She pulls them and we put them on our traffic enforcement spreadsheet. So we do get to them, but just don't want the public to feel that we're ignoring them when they don't get an actual person when they call that line.
I just pasted the number there in the chat if you guys can see it.
And it is on our website under the traffic calming measures or complaints.
Thanks,
There's also
Sean.
an email address too.
Okay.
Awesome. And Paul, just to finish off through you, Chair, do you have any suggestions what to do with this? It looks like it's excessive drinking away from the main streets because they think they can get away with it. Is there any solution to this going down the road, or I don't know. Can you guys, I'd love for you guys to show up one day and just nab these guys, but I just want to get some feedback from you because I know you guys are stretched and I understand.
I mean, the unfortunate thing is that the people that are drinking in those areas are also drinking in the city areas. People, just like with any other kind of litter, aren't as apt to roll down the window as they're rolling through a busy neighborhood or a busy city street as they are when they get to a rural area to pitch the stuff out. Now, that said, that doesn't mean that we can't go to some of the more obscure areas. When we did our last the ride program over the fall, we had a commitment to visit every jurisdiction, or all 12, every municipality, and many of them we did go to more obscure areas. Some we like to go high profile so that everybody sees us, and there's other ones that we can set up in areas such as that. I mean, normally in a typical evening of a ride program, we'll try to hit 2 to 3 different locations, do hour and a half at each one. So yeah, there's no reason why we can't, add a rural area such as that. I don't suspect that the traffic volume would be really high, but you never know. Sometimes it's the most obscure areas that I don't want to say we have the most success, because I actually don't consider catching impaired drivers at a ride program success. It's nice to deter, not necessarily, but it is good to catch the ones that really need to be caught.
Thank you, Paul. Paul, should I send that to you in an email, or how do you suggest moving forward with just that request?
If you've got a specific area, and like, you talked about a few areas there, but times that you think are better than others, yeah, fire me an email and I'll send it off to my traffic sergeants, the one in particular that coordinates the rides, and we see about getting out there.
Okay, thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Councillor DeRose. Anybody else have any roundtable discussion items? Councillor D'Angelo, go ahead.
Thank you. Just on a positive note, to Councillor DeRose, I do a bottle drive for baseball. So if you're going to save the empties, I'll take them and donate them to baseball. So just keep me in mind. I'll even pick them up. But
my son will be his piggy bank will be sorry, but I will do that, Councillor D'Angelo.
No, I won't take it from a youth.
No, it's a great cause. He asked me, "What are you doing, Daddy? Coming on with those cans?" I said, "Hey, it's money for you, buddy." But anyway, no, that's
okay.
good.
Put it in his piggy bank.
No,
I'm
I'll keep
okay
that
with
in mind. He's got enough in his piggy bank. Thank you.
Yeah. I have a couple items. One is I just want to sort of concur with Councillor DeRose regarding the school and the large amount of vehicles and the amount of children that are going to the school. I'm just going to ask Carmen or Councillor DeRose here. Is it worth talking to the school board about expanding the parking lot? Because I know they took down the tennis courts, and I believe that school board property. Is there any way that they can at least have a staging area there to get the cars off Collier Road, Sullivan? They're going down the side streets. It is a real dangerous, and I've spoken to the crossing guards there several times, and there's a lack of respect towards them. So, but the problem's being caused by the amount of students that are going there and the parents dropping off. So can we talk to might not be your principal, but the superintendent of the school board to see if we could do a staging area in there? I was surprised when they took the tennis courts away, they didn't add additional parking there. They just planted grass. A, is that school board property? And B, can we maybe follow up with that?
It's ironically, our school board trustee was here 2 days ago, and the principal and I brought that up. We said, what are they going to do with it? And she blamed, believe it or not, she blamed the city, saying they've stalled talks about that because I think they wanted to make it into a park. And I don't think there was anything in the plans for additional parking from what I gathered. So I saw some emails going back and forth. Sean, I don't know if you were CC'd, but the ones that were that were on there was Director of Operations Jeff Holman and the school board, the head of the school board, so they've discussed this. I don't think they've got plans to put parking there, but we were talking about some kind of park or some kind of thing for children, but they weren't specific. But they are going to resume talks again in that respect. But I think what happened was I think they jumped the gun to join the two schools, and now we're talking about getting portables next year, so a porta pack. So I think it was rushed into it, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, so I think they've got plans for that, but not a parking lot.
Okay, well, that's disappointing to hear that they're not trying to address their parking issues with the school there. They're the ones that closed the other one, so they should solve this problem, or be the leader in trying to solve it. So, okay, so we'll stay on top of that one. The other item I just wanted to bring forward, I did bring this up at council. It's regarding parking at the senior center. City Hall is moving part of their operations to the senior center. And there's some issues with people parking too close to the parking lot on the road. So I just wanted to bring it to this committee's attention, because when someone comes out of that parking lot, they can't see because a car's parked on the road. So I did bring it up that the staff look into painting some lines where they can park and where they can't park. So that way there's a clear delineation of seeing cars coming down Carlton Street. So especially if and when the I shouldn't say it's been passed, when the additional staffing gets this to the senior center and the second floor, there's going to be more cars there, potentially more at risk if there's not designated parking and clear sight lines. So I just wanted to put that on the agenda here. Don't really need that big discussion. I know staff is going to be looking into that from a bylaw perspective for ticketing, and then from I guess an engineering or public works perspective of putting some lines there, delineating where they can park.
Mr. Dunsmore, go ahead.
I think that's a go. I'm not even sure that we're looking into it. We're just doing it. So I don't think it's a huge problem. In terms of doing it, making that correction, I think it's being done. So I'm actually surprised it's not done already.
Okay, and that's just regarding like painting the lines for the parking
And restricting the parking, because
and restricting. Okay. Yeah, because I'm kind of looking at it here, and if there's people parked like right beside the entrance. Okay. All right, thanks, Councillor D'Angelo. Anybody else have any other roundtable items they'd like to discuss today? Justin?
Yes, I noticed on February 21st and February 22nd, there will be a public information center for citywide parking master plan. In case any committee members are interested in that, just so everyone knows about it.
Was that the email that came out like 3:30 or so?
Sure, I don't remember seeing it, so maybe.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I just saw it right before. I was like, is this going to be talked about today? Okay.
Well, it's just so everyone knows and they can attend, and then we can get an update maybe after.
Okay, and what's, Mr. Webb, go ahead.
Not really more, but anything to do with the roundtable, more just of a statement. I'm retiring April 1st, so this will be my last meeting with you guys. So I don't know who my successor is. There's been as you probably are all aware, there's been a lot of change, and continues to be a lot of change in our leadership with the Niagara Regional Police. So I'm hoping, well, I definitely will know before I go, but it'll probably be within about a month or so. I'll let you guys know who my successor is, and I was hoping I would know by now so that I could invite him to this meeting to introduce. But when that comes across, we will let you know. But I'll be around till I'm here right till April 1st. So if there's anything anybody needs in the meantime, by all means, email myself or give me a call, whatever you need. I'd be more than happy to help out.
Congratulations, Paul.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Thanks for your service, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, congratulations, Paul. And we always have room for more members if you find you have extra time during retirement.
Well, we'll see. I'm gonna take a couple of months off. I heard you say baseball. I run the baseball tournaments for Niagara Falls Minor Baseball. So I got 13 tournaments over the summer to take care of, but maybe after that I'll keep you in mind.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. Any other additional roundtable items? Okay. So Mr. Duns, we'll wait for your email, and then we'll get both the zones on the streets, and then we'll give you our feedback on that as well. So the next meeting will be held on May 1st, 2024. And with no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 5:10 p.m. Thanks everybody for your time, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.